Ontario and Canada need a jobs strategy.
Okay.
And simply cutting corporate taxes is not a job strategy. The people who benefit from a reduction in corporate taxes are corporations that are profitable. So the oil companies, the banks, and the insurance companies, they love a tax cut because they then get to make a bigger deduction against all the profits. But companies that are struggling, that aren't making a profit, get no benefit whatsoever from a general corporate tax cut. So simply saying, oh, we're going to cut corporate taxes is not a job strategy. Similarly, writing $200 or $300 million checks to General Motors is not a job strategy. At the same time, the General Motors has pocketed close to $300 million. There are literally almost 10,000 General Motors workers who are now out on the street, or soon to be out on the street in Ontario. So what the McGuinty government and the Harper government have been talking about, cut corporate taxes, write checks to General Motors, is not a strategy. But there are three things we should be doing, and other provinces are doing them. Ontario's losing manufacturing jobs, over 240,000 manufacturing jobs in the last 4 years. Manitoba's actually gaining them. So Manitoba's gained manufacturing jobs. What have they done? Well, instead of cutting corporate taxes, one of the things they put in place was a refundable manufacturing investment tax credit. Refundable means even if your company is not now profitable, even if you're struggling, you can benefit from the tax credit, and it's targeted specifically at manufacturers. So it's not going to the banks, it's not going to the insurance companies, it's not going to the oil companies who frankly don't need the help. It's very targeted at manufacturers, and so companies who might not even be making a profit can apply for the tax credit, can use that tax credit as working capital to pay their bills and to keep their employees working. The second thing they've done, Manitoba has a very reasonable industrial hydro rate. Ontario's industrial hydro rate is going through the roof, which is part of the reason why a lot of manufacturers are shutting down in this province. If you want, particularly during tough economic times, having a reasonable industrial hydro rate so the companies can actually continue to process and manufacture in the province is important. Quebec does it. Manitoba does it. Each of them are doing much better than Ontario in terms of sustaining manufacturing jobs. Third thing we need to do is borrow a page from Quebec, from the United States, and even Mexico. In Quebec, they have a Buy Quebec policy. In the United States, they have a Buy America policy. Give you an example. Many people don't know this, but a lot of the transit equipment, so transit buses, transit streetcars, transit subway trains, and even some of the intercity transit trains in the United States are actually produced in Canada. But the Buy America policy says that if there's even 10 cents of U.S. federal government money in the contract, then 50% of the value of the finished work has to be done in the United States. So typically what happens is we build the shell for the bus, we build the shell for the streetcar, but all of the good jobs involved in the finishing, so the air conditioning, the plumbing, the electrical fitting, all that work, which is very skilled work, is done in the United States because of the Buy America policy. It helps sustain literally hundreds of thousands of good, skilled jobs in that country. Quebec has the same policy. Even Mexico has the same policy. Here in Ontario, Ontario's sort of Buy Ontario policy is an embarrassment. It's 20%. So you could do all the work in Mexico, and sort of put the decals on the bus, all right? And that's the only requirement here in Ontario.